Tagore Samman 2026, where excellence meets recognition. Rabindranath Tagore envisioned a world where art and intellect transcend boundaries, and it is in that spirit that this award has been instituted. An award instituted by Exceller Books to celebrate the remarkable achievements of individuals who have made significant contributions to our social, cultural, artistic, and intellectual landscape. Today we recognize an extraordinary constellation of achievers. আমাদের next যিনি recipient of the Tagore Samman 2026, let me take a moment and introduce him. A distinguished scholar, we are about to felicitate an internationally acclaimed journalist, author, academician, and editor whose contributions have profoundly advanced the study of Asian history and international diplomacy, Harish Mehta sir. Round of applause, everybody. Harish C. Mehta holds a PhD in the history of American foreign relations and Southeast Asia and the 20th century history of China. He has authored 3 books on Cambodian politics and media and on the diplomacy of North Vietnam, and has contributed several articles to international journals, including the American journals Diplomatic History, Peace and Change, The Historian, International History Review. A respected academic, he has taught at McMaster University, the University of Toronto, and Trent University. His distinguished career has been recognized with numerous international honors, including the prestigious Samuel Flagg Bemis Research Award, the Mitsubishi Journalist of the Year Award, the Asian Print Award, and the Freedom Forum Fellowship. As editor-in-chief of Rising Asia Journal and former senior Indochina correspondent for the Business Times of Singapore, he spent nearly 2 decades reporting from Southeast Asia, offering invaluable insights into the region's politics, diplomacy, and society. It is our absolute privilege to confer the Tagore Samman 2026 upon this eminent author, academician, and global thinker. And I would like to invite the Honorable Consul General of China in Kolkata, Mr. So Wei, to give this award away. A round of applause for our awardee, Professor Harish C. Mehta. I would like to invite Professor Harish Mehta to come upon the stage and to the dais and to share with us his valuable insights. Over to you, sir.
I must thank Exceller Books, Sudipto, Anjita, and their committee of that decided on the award, and I'm really grateful to you because the award comes alongside your own growing reputation as a publisher of repute that is publishing works in multiple genres and multiple subjects with authors drawn from various places. And I thank the Consul General of China for conferring, for giving away the award. So I thought I'll take a few minutes to talk about my own life and how it has played into global journalism and international relations, and how a person who comes from a small town called Lucknow and went to La Martiniere College and University of Lucknow gets headhunted and gets a job in Singapore with one of the largest newspapers of the world at that time, the Straits Times Group, and he ends up on the foreign desk and his job is to cover Vietnam, Cambodia, and Laos. And then one fine day, very quickly, within a year of joining, he's recognized with the Mitsubishi Award, called the Journalist of the Year, and which takes him to Japan. So my international experience as a journalist began on the foreign desk. So I was always an internationally oriented person. And so in Japan, I met, through Mitsubishi, they arranged a number of interviews for me to meet Ministry of Foreign Affairs people and academics. And they'd asked me to actually write a book, more of a monograph on Japan-China relations post 1989, when certain events took place in China, which perhaps the Japanese thought would have an effect on them. Let me fast forward to just before COVID. I was invited to Shandong University, where I gave a number of talks, and I met the vice president of that wonderful university, which has a dining hall which is bigger than many airports. It's a huge, China, the scale is big and the food is fantastic. And I met them, and so at one of my lectures to the students of political science, I gave a talk on mentality of the Cold War. If you will remember, in the last days of the Biden administration, we were talking about the emergence of a new Cold War. And the Chinese students were very worried that this new Cold War between America and China would it cause war, actual war? So some of the students said, will there be a naval war, an air force, military war? And in the pre-COVID days, I said, look, there is going to be no war between America and China. And I'm glad what I told them, if they still remember, there is no war, and I do not think there is going to be one. Because I think China has been an extremely responsible global diplomatic power that has not waged war with neighbors. And the United States, on the other hand, has been an extremely belligerent power. That has been a bloody power. When they took over, say, the Philippines and Cuba, they massacred more than 200,000 Filipinos in the act of liberating them from themselves. So the Chinese, so the Americans will go to any length to justify killings, violence, and they still to this day exercise hegemony in Palestine, where they collaborate with the murderous genocidal state of Israel to facilitate the killing of innocent children in Gaza. And the latest episode of their misadventures are being watched in Iran. So when I went with my wife, Professor Julie Mehta, to Canada to do our doctorates, this is after the journalism career, I became a scholar of history, but my field is the history of American foreign relations, which is not the history of foreign policy making, but the history of how America emerged and became a global power. And interestingly enough, because I wrote some important essays, I got an award called the Samuel Flagg Bemis Award. And when I got that award, my supervisor said that Samuel Flagg Bemis will be turning in his grave. Because you represent a sort of left-wing view of history, whereas Samuel Flagg Bemis was a right-wing person, who actually, Samuel Flagg Bemis was one of the first historians of American power. And he was the author of this field called History of American Foreign Relations. And Samuel Flagg Bemis actually believed that the more you kill, the more America does hegemony, the greater it's going to have a hold on power. And he called for American manliness and, vigor, great, manliness. And so, at the time, President Theodore Roosevelt actually took it seriously. And he took Cuba. I mean, he tried to wage war against the Cubans. So Samuel Flagg Bemis was turning in his grave. A few years later, I wrote some more papers, and the Society of American Foreign Relations History gave me a second Samuel Flagg Bemis Award. And this time my supervisor, Professor Stephen Streeter, said, I forget what he said, but he said that No, he's dead now. I mean, when he hears that you got the award the second time, he's dead. Uh, so what I'm trying to say is that, me and I was trained under Professor Stephen Streeter, who was a historian and is a living historian of the New Left movement. The New Left is not communist left, but they are the people who believe that history, who want to rescue American history from the clutches of Samuel Flagg Bemis. They want to reappropriate American history and to write and excavate historical archives which will restore to America the greatness to which it rightfully belongs, so that America becomes a power for good, that it stops killing, it stops hegemonizing the world. And so the New Left movement, just a minute or two on the New Left movement because it's very important. So the New Left movement, so Samuel Flagg Bemis starts off this field called the history of American foreign relations, right-wing completely. During the Vietnam War, Samuel Flagg Bemis' sun is setting very rapidly. And the star and the sun of a gentleman called William Appleman Williams is rising. And who is William Appleman Williams? William Appleman Williams is none other than the author of the New Left in American foreign relations history. And he's arguing what we all still believe, that America must not kill, it must actually promote democracy abroad, it must not have a large military, it must look inwards, and it must actually espouse the democratic principles that the country was founded on. So during the Vietnam War and a few years later, all the left-wing historians were in the ascendant. Come the Reagan years, their sun begins to set. And some new bunch of right-wing historians who are the sons and daughters of Samuel Flagg Bemis come back into contention. They are led by a gentleman called John Lewis Gaddis, who believes mayhem, murder, capture, and assert military power. So these historians continue to rule the roost right up to the present day. And what happened to the New Left? Now, if you Google the New Left, you'll find it went into decline. It still exists, but now America has become such a difficult country that when I was looking for a job in the United States, my supervisor asked me, how are you going to teach over there? Because all the kids in college are right-wing kids. They might even beat you up in the corridors. And you can't sort of talk about this William Appleman Williams, and you can't sort of say that Samuel Flagg Bemis was not right. I mean, what are you doing? So anyway, I interviewed for a few important jobs in the Deep South, which is actually the heartland of Samuel Flagg Bemis. And I don't know how I got away with it. But let me just conclude by saying that the New Left is well and truly buried, and I see no future for them unless somebody buries Trump and Samuel Flagg Bemis along with the ghosts of Mr. John Lewis Gaddis, and let William Appleman Williams rise again. And finally, my two great supervisors, Professor Michael Hunt at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, a great, he wasn't purely, the field is very contentious. He wasn't really New Left, and he was neither right. He belonged somewhere in between. These were the revisionists. And revisionists also were hard right-wing revisionists, centrist revisionists, and slightly left-leaning ones. That's where he belonged. Slightly left-leaning revisionists who believed in revising the history of America to make a little more left-leaning. He died. He went away. I wrote a very long article about a 5,000-word piece on what his classes were like and how beautiful he was. And then another great scholar dies. So the left wing is in decline. I hope not terminally. I must thank Exceller Books for this great honor, and I'm so happy to have to have shared something which I was wanting very much to get off my chest for a long time. Thank you.
Thank you for an absolutely wonderful speech, sir.